I'm Joyce Porter. I'm a member of the 19th, and I am the president of the board of the Oak Park, Illinois Film Festival. And today I'll be talking a little bit about not only the festival itself, but how festivals operate in general, and how filmmakers connect with film festivals, and what we did last year and what you can expect this year, and maybe what you might want to do in terms of tickets or whatever. Okay, so first a little bit about myself. My first career was as a professor of theater, film, humanities, and speech at Moraine Valley Community College. And as I was doing that, I was doing some community theater, and I started doing some film extra work on weekends and stuff, where you do background work, and I got very interested in that, and I got an early retirement offer, and I accepted it partly, so I could do more acting, more films and more acting in general. And it was very fortunate timing in 2002 that I took early retirement, because it was at that point that festival theater was in financial straits, and I was able to, I was a board member, I became president, I was able to work at that full time for a few years to get it back on its feet and add programs and so on. My late husband and I moved to Oak Park in 1982, and one of the reasons we moved here was because of the culture. The way we first got interested in Oak Park is that we were cast in a play with Village Players, and then we went to a festival theater performance and everything. We said, this would be a really good place to be, not only in terms of the location and how easy it would be for me to get to work compared to when we lived on the north side and had to go through downtown and all that, but also because of the culture. And fast forward to 1989, I was fortunate to be cast in a little one-act play, that's my theater background, a short film, and the film was very successful, and I went to a lot of film festivals with it, and I got to see different kinds of film festivals and how they operated and what I liked and what I didn't like. I went to a couple in New York and a couple in California, several states in the Midwest, and even one in France. And so I saw the good, the bad, how the film festivals operate, etc. And meanwhile, there was a series of screenings of films at the library in the fall, and it wasn't a true film festival, but they did have films every September, and I got to submit a film that I was in because I knew the guy was organizing it. And when he moved and that ended, I kind of missed that. And I thought, there are all these film festivals. Wouldn't it be cool if we had one right in Oak Park? And I got the idea for it, and I posted on Facebook, would anyone be interested in working on this with me, and had a meeting, and the rest is history. So that's how it started. And I want to talk a little bit about the types of festivals that there are, and then I'll talk about our festival. So some people have said to me, well, you have a festival in a few months. What films are you going to be showing? And I was like, well, I don't know. It depends on what's submitted. And then I realized that there are different kinds of festivals, and so the expectations are different. All right, so some of the big festivals, like Palm Springs or Chicago International, the really big ones that are a big deal, show big films. They show high-budget films that are, maybe it's a world premiere, but are going to get a lot of press and so on and so forth. And they select those films way ahead of time. But an independent film festival, the films are submitted and judged, and so the organizers of the film festival don't know until shortly beforehand what films are going to be shown. And also, I also say to people, well, we don't know yet, and even if we did know, you wouldn't recognize the titles of the films. You would know they're little independent films. The exception is that we decided that our theme would be tie-ins to Oak Park, including opening night, we have a Hollywood film with a connection to Oak Park. So that film we do know months ahead of time. Though sometimes there's a little drama. We had a little drama with the distributor last year, but so it was like, we know, maybe we don't know. Oh yeah, okay, we know. So we kind of eliminated that distributor for a while. But and our opening night film this year is going to be Moonstruck. And I can't tell you how many people have said, oh, that's my favorite movie. And I'm thinking, so what are we going to do next year? If that's everyone's favorite movie, whatever we do next year won't be everyone's favorite movie. But it will be a good movie. It'll be interesting. It'll have a Hollywood connection and an Oak Park connection, whatever it might be. Might be Return to Me, or, there are a lot of possibilities. When I started researching Oak Park's film connections, it was really amazing how many films do have, oh dear, I've got to silence my phone. Everyone, please silence your phone. Do not disturb. Okay. All right, now there are so many films. I have this long list of actors and films and everything that have some connection to Oak Park. It's really kind of amazing. And when I was thinking about the festival, I thought, well, how narrow is it going to be? So even independent film festivals usually are specialized. Maybe they have a theme, like the One Earth Festival. Everything's environmental. Or maybe they only do shorts, or maybe they only do documentaries, because you can't do every film. I mean, would be totally overwhelmed. Well, our focus is unusually narrow. Now, I can't swear that there isn't another, but I personally am not aware of another film festival where everything has to have a connection to that town. Now, it's very common with film festivals that they will have a category. Okay, like I went to the Indie Film Festival, INDY, in Indianapolis, and they had a category, Indiana films. And there was an award for Indiana films, but that was one category, one award. And the rest of the films could be from wherever. So it was taking a chance, saying all the films must have an Oak Park connection. That really narrowed the field. And I remember at one early board meeting, one of the board members said, well, how many submissions do you think we'll get? At that point, we only had about 10. And I said, well, I know we're very limited in our requirements, but I think we're going to get 25 films submitted. He said, oh, really? Well, the first year we had 60 films submitted. Yeah. So, of course, we couldn't show many good films. Now, and then going into the second year, I said, okay, it's possible as word is getting out, maybe we'll have more people submitting, but on the other hand, we did not have a requirement. Darn it, I didn't touch this fast enough. Oh well. We did not have year requirement. Now, some films say it must be created within the past year. Well, if I said, Oak Park films created in the past year, we wouldn't have enough films. So we didn't set a year requirement. And of course, people had films stored up and to submit. So I thought it was definitely a possibility we might get fewer films the second year, even though word has gotten out. And we did have fewer films submitted. No, can't get back to that. But we got 41 films submitted, and a lot of them were features. So unfortunately, many more films than we could possibly show, even though we added a second day. So there are a lot of pretty good films that we had to say no to just because we don't have the time to show them all, especially since we have other things besides showing films. Now, one of the things I did not like about some of the film festivals I went to is that you went in, they just started the films, and that was it. I mean, there was one festival I went to where at the end of, when you have a group of films, it's called a film block. The sessions are called blocks, a segment, and then you have a break, and then you have another block. Okay, at the end of one block, I was sitting there in the audience, and I said, "Are the filmmakers here?" And they kind of raised their hands. I said, "Well, why don't you go down to the front and answer some questions or something?" There was the people running the film festival were just sitting at the check-in table, and that was it. That was all they were doing. And then others have been great. So all of our film blocks, thank you. I'll have to remember to touch the touchpad every once in a while. Do have a Q&A, and we do also have some industry speakers. We also have food, partly because that's fun, and that was one of the things I liked about some festivals, and partly because then people don't have to go out. They can network while they're eating. In fact, last year we said about one of the meals, I said it's for filmmakers, and some people said, well, we didn't really have enough time to go out, and there aren't that many. So we're not making any requirements. Anybody who's there is welcome to join us for pizza or sandwiches or cookies or whatever is at the time. And we're fortunate to have a number of restaurants, a number of food donors that have donated food. And so it's going to be a challenge organizing and picking up and getting them in place and everything. And Jill's going to be in charge, Jill Harrod will be in charge of setting out the food and getting it all organized and all that. Okay, we have a really great board. I mentioned that I just said, I'm going to have a meeting, who's going to show up? And a really great group of people showed up. Everyone does something. So we've got one person is in charge of merchandise and food, another person's in charge of the program, another person is our graphic designer. So everything you see, like this poster and everything, that was all designed by a board member. Nothing it has been, to this date, outsourced other than the actual printing. That's basically it. And we've got the talents. We've got the talents for it. We're very lucky. That first meeting, we went around, people introduced themselves. Well, I can do this, I can do that. And it was like, okay, we've got a festival. If the meeting had gone differently, we wouldn't have had a festival, but we do. Okay. All right, so how does the festival, by the way, if anyone wants to ask a question at any point, I'll do Q&A at the end. But if you want to ask a question at any point, just raise your hand, like classroom. Raise your hand or speak up, and feel free. Okay, so how does the film festival get its films? There's something called Film Freeway, and I think it might be owned by Amazon, I'm not sure, but it pretty much has monopoly, though I did see a notice for a potential rival recently. But basically, that is the way everyone gets their films into film festivals. And by the way, I don't think you have to, here's a little tip, I don't think you have to be a filmmaker or anything to go to the website and just browse the festivals. Like if you're going on a trip and you're wondering, you know, I'm going to Florida, are there any film festivals in Florida? You can just put in the search bar Florida, and it'll show you all the film festivals, where they are, when they are, etc. And I don't think you have to create an account or anything for that. So just filmfreeway.com. And it's really great. We do our judging on there and everything else. Of course, they have to make a living, but so they do get a percentage of any income we have. So how does it work? A filmmaker makes a film, they create a Film Freeway page, and on that page it prompts them what they need to put on there. They need to upload the film, they need to put the poster, they put background about the director, everything, so that the festivals don't have to go looking for any of that stuff. And then the filmmakers can browse the festivals that they want, and hopefully maybe they've heard about our film festival. So we did publicity about submissions are now open, and maybe you saw a flyer about that or saw an article about that or something in the Wednesday Journal. But also we have an email subscriber list. So you can subscribe to our emails, and you don't have to be a filmmaker for that. You can be an audience member, but it will tell you, oh, the film submissions are now open, the tickets are now for sale, etc. So you just go to our website and sign up for that newsletter. And the website is just our initials, opilff.org. And that's where you can sign up. And we're always very careful. People tend to say the Oak Park Film Festival. And I always correct them and say, no, it's the Oak Park, Illinois Film Festival. And because someone Googled at our first meeting, when we were talking about what the official name would be, and said, oh, there's already an Oak Park Film Festival. Because there are Oak Parks in several states. And there is an Oak Park Film Festival in Michigan. So, for example, we got a check from the village, and I returned it because I said it says Oak Park Film Festival, so we can't cash it. By the way, if anyone does a donation or anything like that, and you're wondering why Madison Street Theater is our fiscal sponsor, so our nonprofit status goes through them, and so they take any donations, sponsorships, etc., and put in a separate account for us. One of these days we might have our own 403(c)(b), but we don't right now. Okay, so people create a page on Film Freeway. They find the films they want to go to, they want to submit to, then they select a category. It's a short, it's a feature, it's a documentary, whatever that particular festival has category. They click on that, they pay the submission fee. There's always a submission fee. And it then goes into our page where we know these are the ones that have been submitted. And then when it comes time to judge, the judges simply are divided up, and they get, okay, you're going to please judge the following films, and you just do a search for that film on your page, and you can see it immediately. There was one person this year who wanted to said, where do I send the DVDs? And I said, really can't use a DVD, because you know how you're going to get from one person to the other. It's got to be online nowadays. There are a lot of people who don't even have DVD players. You know, so this is much easier. So people can view it, they can review it, and then you get to rate. You scroll down and ask you to rate the film, and you give it a numeric rating. Sometimes it's very tricky narrowing it down. One of my films that I really liked made the first cut, but that didn't make the second cut. So, it's a numbers game. I told the filmmaker it's like the Olympics. You can just miss it by, you can be really good and really close and just miss it by just that little cutoff of the number. Last year's festival, first year out, you would think, our festival was very well attended and very well received. How many of you were at some part of last year's festival? Just one, okay. Well, we had really good attendance. We weren't sold out, but very good attendance at every session. And the surveys were really excellent. People had really good comments. And I'm going to show you a few shots. This is the marquee at Madison Street Theater. So Thursday evening when we do the Hollywood film, we're at the Lake Theater. But then we move over to Madison Street Theater. And it's actually very nice for us because not only do we use the main theater, we also have how many of you have been to Madison Street Theater? Okay, just about everybody. All right, there's also a studio theater, and we can use that for food and people to sit down and relax, take breaks there, etc. Even the dance studio where we have our step and repeat. You can see there's good attendance, and we have some panels. We're still figuring out this year if it'll be a panel or if it'll be one-on-one interviews, but we do have some industry people who are going to talk to the audience, and people found that very interesting. Or this might be a Q&A after one of the blocks. This is opening night at the Lake Theater, and that is Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio's sister. We were showing The Abyss with the Oak Park connection is Mary Elizabeth, and she was filming overseas. She could not come, but her sister came and talked about her childhood and so on and so forth. It was very interesting. That was a treat. And the gentleman is somebody who was a camera operator on the film. He actually worked on the film, and he saw that we were doing The Abyss, and he emailed us. He contacted us and said, hey, I worked on the film. Would you be interested in hearing my experiences? So this year, what we have in the way of speakers. So, all right, so here's what to expect on Thursday evening. The audience is invited to arrive at 6:30. 6:30 to 7, you have what's called step and repeat photos. Step and repeat is the term that's used when you have a backdrop with the logo of the festival. So people can pose in front of the backdrop and have their photos taken. And it's free downloads. There's no charge for the photos. You can just download it and have it in your files, print it, whatever. Actually, I have one photographer lined up, and I like to do two, one for candidates, one for step and repeat. So if anyone knows of a photographer who might be interested in volunteering, please see me at the end of my talk. And or if one of you or whatever wants to take photos, we appreciate that. All right, so we do the step and repeat photos, and then at 7 we go into the auditorium, and we're going to have a couple speakers. One will be, some of you may know her in Oak Park, Dr. Deb Holstein, who was a dean, vice president, whatever, at Columbia before her retirement, and wrote a book on film and so on and so forth. She's going to be talking about Moonstruck, give a little background on Moonstruck. Then we have one of our board members has compiled, is still working on compiling, a little tribute to John Mahoney. And she's going to have some clips, she's going to have interviews with people who knew him, etc. So now I'll do 5-minute welcome, and then we'll do those. And so we'll be showing the film immediately afterwards, starting a little before 7:30, and then we'll probably have since it's a shorter film than last year's, which was over 3 hours, and at that point we said, well, we're not going to, at the end of the film, people are going to want to go home. But in this case, we're going to have a brief Q&A discussion, comments about the film. Okay, so that's at evening. The cost for a ticket, by the way, is $25. And there's no early bird discount on it. That's the cost, $25. And if you're interested in getting a ticket, they are reserved seats. So you may want to buy your ticket early and not wait till the last minute. And I do think it will sell out, actually. We came close last time, and I think it'll actually be sold out because Moonstruck is so popular, and we've got about 50 comps we have to give out. So that limits the seats. Excuse me. And if you are interested, just go to our website and click on tickets. Okay, and then that'll connect you and you can buy the tickets. Okay, the Lake Marquee. And we had someone who bought a sponsorship and was on the Lake Marquee. But it was the Abyss Special Edition. It was so cool to see that on the marquee. Even though initially I was not enthused about the lake switching to an electronic marquee, I like the old-fashioned marquee. It's really pretty cool. It is, how they can advertise the events and everything. And it was very sweet. The board came up with an award, gave me an award, and that's our board. And most of the people are still with us. We have one who moved away and one who said, I'm sorry, we're doing college site visits with my daughter, just can't do it anymore. But everyone else is with us, and we've got a couple new members of the board. Okay. Okay, so last year we had a 13-hour day on Saturday. We started with breakfast and we went till 10 p.m. And we decided, first of all, that we didn't get to show as many films as we'd like, and 13 hours is a long time. So we switched to a 2-hour day this weekend, this coming festival. So we're going to be the rough times. We're still working on the exact schedule, and it's so complicated because the films have to be judged. The length of the films have to be figured, the groupings of the films into the blocks, etc. It's a very complicated process. But the approximate times this year are going to be, Saturday will be approximately 12 to 10. And we liked keeping the Saturday night because we're probably going to show films that are a little, what we did last time, films that are a little strange or occult or whatever. My hope was, I was hoping that Sunday morning we'd have a bunch of youth films. And we do have a board member who's working on that, but she's going to try to get an earlier start next year. We only had 1 or 2 submissions from kids. We'd like to have like a Sunday morning block where we show young filmmakers. But we don't have that this year. But we are starting approximately 9:30 in the morning and going till about 6 p.m. on Sunday. There will be a lunch break. There will be a snack break. I should have said that we will start with breakfast, and also that on Saturday we'll have a lunch break. And then we end the festival with an award ceremony. We give out awards for the different categories: best documentary, best short, best feature, best actor, best actress. Excuse me. And then we are going to have a reception where people can this is something new. We can get together and people can just say, hey, what film did you like? What did you think about this film? What did you think about that film? Oh, I think I saw you. I'm a filmmaker. I'm a whatever. And guess where that's going to be? Right here. At Becky's invitation. And there will be a cash bar for wine and beer, and there's no admission charge, and anyone who attended the festival at any point, even if you didn't go Sunday or whatever, everyone's welcome to come. How many people think they might come to that? Okay. Just trying to get a little bit of a feel, yeah. And I'll be asking at the event. So it's a nice chance to sit and chat. What did you think about what they brought up in that documentary? Or whatever. Yeah, Marie?
When will that be?
That will be right afterwards, approximately 6:30 p.m.
On Sunday?
On Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So the movies will be shown where on
I'm sorry. Oh, it's okay. Saturday and Sunday are at Madison Street Theater. So you do have to drive over and repark. But, I mean, it's Sundays, all parking is free in Oak Park. So you can just park at a metered space or whatever, no problem, because, there isn't a lot of space. You can go into the garage here, and it's free. So, that's very easy. And people can come 6:30, whatever time we're done. Probably be closer to 6:30, because we'll probably be done around 6. Okay. Now, I can, yes, and I'm very pleased to mention that there is a ripple effect of the festival. One of the things I wanted to do was connect the creative people in Oak Park. And I know that there are a lot of creative people in Oak Park. That's why I felt we could do a festival where everything had to have an Oak Park connection. And by the way, the connections might not be obvious. I mean, some of the films are actually shot in Oak Park. A lot of them, it's like, well, it's in the Northwest, but the composer was from Oak Park or whatever. So every film has some connection where it's either the setting, the subject matter. We had one film that I think didn't make the final cut where the subject matter was, one of the subject matters was Sam Giancana. So I was thinking like Frank Lloyd Wright, Hemingway, but it was Sam Giancana. I don't think that one made the cut. But, it's Oak Park related. And then it's funny, there's one of the most popular films last year was made and shot in the Northwest, but the composer was from Oak Park. And this filmmaker was so good about communicating with me, and he's promoting his film, and he says, oh, now we've got merchandise available you might want to buy, merchandise for the film, etc. So then in the spring, he emailed me and he says, guess what? I found out that the film I'm working on now, we have someone in our staff who's from Oak Park. So I'm going to be submitting again, and it seems like everything ties into Oak Park, even though he did not. So he's got a very good film once again this year, The Pantone Guy, which is a very good film. Okay, so we do have a night. But ripple effect. Also, one of the filmmakers who had a film last year, and I ran into him, I think a day in our village or something, and I said, are you submitting the series? He says, well, I don't have a film that's quite done next year. But he contacted me later. I want to start a meetup group. He says, he was asking me, are there any groups of filmmakers or anything? I said, no, I'd love it, but there aren't. So he is starting a meetup group, a Facebook group of Oak Park filmmakers. And I told him, you're welcome to have a sign-up sheet at the festival. Be happy to have that. I'd love to see that. So he's going to have a sign-up sheet, and he started social media and this and that to get all these Oak Park filmmakers to get together on a regular basis. And then another friend told me that a friend of hers heard about the film festival and is interested in getting together a group of people who want to see documentaries and find a place to screen documentaries once a month. So there's this kind of a ripple effect. And then my hope is that some people will film in Oak Park or use Oak Park talent for one of their films so that they can be in the festival. I was talking to someone at a conference or whatever who lived in, Berwyn or Forest Park, someplace close. And they said, how about, Berwyn or Forest Park? I said, no, it has to be Oak Park. I said, however, you could just film a scene in your next film in Oak Park, and then it would be eligible. And I said, oh, yeah. So hopefully some of that is going to happen, and it will actually increase the activity in Oak Park. So some of the films coming up, we haven't quite totally decided on all the films, and there are many films that are going to be in the festival that I haven't seen. and I couldn't tell you anything about, because what we do is we divide up. You know, if there are 41 films, we don't watch 41 films. Maybe Jill does, because she likes to watch films a lot. But you're assigned a certain number of films that you watch. And so I haven't seen them all, but I can tell you some of the good ones that are coming up that I know are going to be included. One I really liked is a short documentary called How We Roll. And it's about the bocce program in Elmwood Park. That was a really good one. And Jill, do you have a favorite?
The one that I recommended to you, the short horror film.
Run?
What was it called? With the pizza delivery?
Oh, Slice.
Slice. That was it. That was, yeah. As soon as I saw that, I ran into Joyce at Thursday night out, and I said, "Oh, Joyce, you have to watch this one."
Yeah, and it was a short film, so it was easy to watch. We do also have feature-length films. We've got one called Shiners, a documentary about people from the moonshine area getting involved in the performing arts. And yeah, it was very interesting. A documentary, true story about a competition that they entered, and how these people who didn't have backgrounds in theater or anything all, got involved in this. So that's very interesting. There's so many good films. Really, I think all the films that are selected are good. We had a lot of documentaries this year, which was interesting. The one thing we did not have, which was very disappointing, is animation. We had very few true animated films. So hopefully next year, but it's kind of interesting how there's kind of trends come and go with filmmakers and everything, but they do seem to be very much into documentaries. But our documentaries last year were very well received. Like the one, Hillbilly. People loved that film. It was so interesting, it was so well made. And we've got, a good one is Park Place, about relationship of two people, a narrative feature, and there are a lot of shorts. Okay, so I'm open to questions. Yeah, Marie?
Could you explain the logo with the circles? I just want to be sure I interpreted it correctly.
There isn't a real right interpretation. What's really cool about it is that it's open to more than one interpretation. Primarily, it looks like an old-fashioned film reel. But also, if you look at it, it looks like a man and a woman.
Yeah, that's what
So it's deliberately ambiguous on the part of our very talented board member who does our graphic design, Eric Henry. Yeah, and very colorful and everything. Yeah.
How do the ticket sales work for Saturday and Sunday?
Oh, thank you. All right, I forgot to mention that. Yes, there are two kinds of tickets that you can purchase. You can purchase a block ticket. A block ticket will give you admission to a roughly 2-hour segment. Okay, and the schedule will be published when we're totally finished with it, and you'll know what is going on during that time. Every block includes something extra, whether it be, in addition to Q&As, an interview with an industry professional, or a meal, or a snack, or something, in addition to films. Or, if you think you're going to be attending a few blocks, I recommend getting the weekend pass. Okay, a weekend pass, you get a lanyard, you don't have to bother with tickets. Anyone sees the lanyard, you just walk in, walk out. The only caution with that would be if it gets to the point where we have a sold out block, which hasn't happened yet, but if it were to happen, if there were a waiting line, you would need to be seated 10 minutes before that block begins, or we could possibly sell the seat, okay? Because people might buy a weekend pass and only come to a couple of segments, we don't know, okay? So if you buy a block ticket, it's $15, but there's advanced purchase discounts. If you buy it in August, it's only $12. If you buy the weekend pass, it's $70 for the complete 2 days. And if you buy it in August, it's only $60. And that includes all the films, all the food, I mean, just the meals alone, you know, all the events and everything. Oh, and one cool thing that, of course, anything, you never know what can happen, right? Things can go awry, somebody's sick, whatever. But on the plans for the ceremony, the award ceremony that closes it, we're also going to have this kind of Latin jazz combo that we had last year. It was really good, and unfortunately the way we had it scheduled was during lunch. Hardly anyone heard them, so we've got it scheduled now so that they open the award ceremony, so people listen to them. And it's like, at first, frankly, when they approached us, I was like, oh, if, you know, it could be really loud, or how people are going to network, whatever. It's like samba. It's like bossa nova. It's really mellow and very nice and everything. Other questions?
Does the weekend pass include opening night?
No. No, opening night is separate. Good question.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I was like, could you tell me again exactly where to buy an opening night ticket?
Exactly where what?
To buy an opening night ticket.
Oh. For all ticket sales, the best thing is to go to our website. Now, yes, you could buy it directly with the Lake Theater, but it's complicated to find the link. If you go to our website, very easy, you just click on tickets and it'll say opening night, click here, weekend passes, click here, block tickets, click here. Very easy. opilff.org. Other questions? Yeah.
The block tickets, you just buy that block ticket and then you could go to any film on the day
Any film in those 2 hours.
for 2 hours, right?
Right.
It's not a set.
It's not like you're picking films. You sit down, films are screened, exit. One of the tricky things is the films get, in some cases it's going to be feature film and Q&A, and that'll take up the whole 2 hours. But in other cases, if we have short films, they have to get edited together. And we were lucky to have someone to do that last year. Now he's the one who said, my daughter is doing all these college visits, I'm going to have to leave the board. So we've got another board member who said he can do it, and hopefully. But that's part of the editing process. Also, you start with a little preview video and everything. So there's so many complications. When I started this, I think if I had realized how complicated the whole thing is when I started, I wouldn't have started. So it's a good thing I didn't know.
Are there any films that will have been shown in other festivals?
Yes, there's no restriction about that. In fact, I know, like Run, I said to myself, I saw this. Absolutely. Some of them have already won awards in other festivals, etc., and that's fine if they've got that Oak Park connection.
It's kind of a personal question. I used to live in a very large house, and sometime in the 80s, I agreed to allow filming to take place in and around my home. I can't remember the title of the movie, but they were big names. I do remember Sharon Stone was in it.
Oh.
Do anyone remember the name of a movie then?
Anyone happen to know what film that would be with Sharon Stone that was filmed in Oak Park?
Interesting. It was very interesting to watch.
Oh, yeah.
The procedure for filming. It went on from early morning until after dinner time.
Oh, yeah.
It was quite I remember they served lunch at the high school.
Oh.
It was during the summer.
Ah,
So,
okay, yeah, film shoot days can be 12 hours, 14 hours.
yeah.
It's just incredible how long it can be. I do also want to mention that it costs money to run a festival. And we do accept donations and sponsorships. And I have some paperwork if anyone's interested in donating or sponsoring. And you can also go to our website, and there is a link for that. I mean, like renting Madison Street Theater for a full weekend for the whole theater is, it's a lot of money, etc. So that's welcome if anyone wants to donate.
What was the term that you used, was it Speedway the term that you said that you were going to access?
Film Freeway.
Oh, Film Freeway. How long has that been in existence? I mean, can you go to the library at the Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, institution where they have a library of many, I don't know how many, all the films they have there. In other words, you only can access through that particular website.
Well, Film Freeway doesn't have the films, they just link you to the films. So if you go to look up Run, well, it'll give you the link to it's on YouTube or wherever it is, or Vimeo or whatever. So they're basically just giving you the link and all the information. And the people, when they submit, you have a custom form. We have questions on there. What is your connection to Oak Park? And they give you all that information and background on the director, etc. But they don't maintain any films.
So what about some of the older films that would be available, which they might not, well, I guess they must have access to the Motion Picture Arts and Sciences.
So in order to submit to a festival, you have to have a way for the people in the festival to view it, to be able to judge it.
Oh, I see.
Other questions?
Did you say the program was already out or not yet?
No, we're finalizing it. Actually, we have selected most of the films. We've got a few on the bubble there are a few of us that are going back and forth on talking about if they're going to be included. And there's one of the board members, his main job, besides being treasurer, his main job is saying these are the films that were selected based on the tallies and arranging when they'll be shown and try to make some sense of the blocks and connect films. And it's very complicated. But that will all be done very, very soon because the program materials are due at the end of this week. So in order to have a program, all that schedule has to be on there. And that's, why also, if anyone is interested in donating or sponsoring, you should do it soon because we'd like the names to be in the program. Other questions? All right, well, thank you very much for coming on this lovely day. And thank you to Becky for arranging it and John and Ed for videotaping.